We obviously had a pretty good day yesterday. I only actually took two trades yesterday personally. We took Euro JPY in the morning, moved up as we wanted to, and then obviously Euro AUD in the afternoon, come out just at the right time because it dumped straight back down again. So yeah, that's obviously was yeah, very, very good, well kind of managed Tuesday. So I'm just letting some people in still. So, admit, oh, come on. There we go. Right. So let's wait and see. Right. So, we obviously want to stick to our routine. Obviously, routine is key. You can build your own obviously routine upon this. I'd like to personally, just before I do anything, obviously, skate through the news a bit, see if there's anything interesting, and then obviously I'll look, in regards to risk. All right. So we've got, stock markets pretty much around break even. We then got yields down at the moment, what are they down 25%. This is a horrible price action, but I don't really worry about the price action on yields too much. Remember, the lower yields get, it should technically drive the dollar down. However, we obviously do have these kind of in-betweeny, safe haven, flows. I know that gold obviously hasn't been one, but obviously off the back of, we've got obviously no confirmation about China. We've obviously got a little bit of conflict still in Russia and Ukraine, and obviously we've got this whole government blackout, which actually, seems to be playing into the hands of Trump because obviously he can control the narrative, like I keep explaining. But yields are obviously hopping all over the place, and obviously dollar, had a very, very, nice kind of day yesterday, but obviously just consolidating. This is going to be the area to kind of watch out for today. I think on the dollar, if this run continues, then yes, we could see something like that. However, I wouldn't write off, a move like this either. But obviously, this is going to be the area to test because obviously it's tried to break it once, tried to break it twice during Asia, and then obviously we've driven down. Might obviously get one more try. If it doesn't, then obviously dollar is gonna weaken. Now, I did these about 20 minutes ago. And let's just have a look here. So it's changed around ever so slightly. So once we've obviously, identified what the kind of overall risk is, we then want to grade up our pairs because obviously this might put us off taking particular pairs. However, yen has actually moved up a lot. So yen is actually number three now. Oh, so yen is number three. All I do, I'd start off with the yen crosses because obviously, you can grade them. It's nice and easy. And then obviously I'll just double check them across the board in regards to everything else. So we've got uh, CAD, Euro, US, and obviously GBP. Why is GBP plummeting? Because obviously we've had very, very weak CPI data. CPI data is obviously inflation, so we obviously need to be aware of that. In regards to how will the how the Bank of England react. Apart from that, we don't have a lot more coming out. Yes, late. We've obviously got Chairman Barr speaking. So yeah, let's wait and see. Obviously how that one kind of reacts here. So like always, our top pairs, we want to be trying to trade these pairs against these pairs here. Yeah. All right. So potentially some Euro yens, US yens, GBP yens, GBP yen. I would instantly write this one off the table. It's just too much of a big move for me. It isn't one that obviously we're going to completely write off, but obviously we would want for us to enter this potentially this afternoon, we might want to see something like this happen. Yeah, but obviously we're going to have that retracement before we look into you know, hopping on something like that. We can look at US, yeah, Euro, JPY here reacting off 50 EMA and reacting off the Asian session equilibrium. However, I don't really like yen. Outlook's not changed from yesterday, and obviously yen's been relatively weak. We obviously capitalized on a move to the upside. Even though if we look at our pairs graded, if I just take these out of the way, then obviously yen, the only ones that we'd want to bet against it would be Aussie and NZD. Aussie's a potential here. Let's just have a look through this. So if we look at this on a 4 hour time frame, we're technically, trending to the upside here. We've obviously broken this high, made a new high. Um, let's have a look through some of this here. We've got 1 hour. So pretty much, similar to what we had yesterday. So what would we want to see on the 1 hour? Where could it come into to test? Potentially this area here. And then we'd want to be looking potentially, if not, we're probably not going to be interested because it's going to be here. All right. So I would be interested to obviously see, what's going to happen here. I do think Aussie is going to outperform yen. And I do think we could see something like this. Let's just move these down ever so 20 pips. Let's just have a look in regards to overall how everything else is doing. Aussie starting to weaken off there. How's dollar doing? Dollar, yeah, it's starting to pump. So let's now gauge what else we could be looking for. I'm just going to leave that one marked up. All right. The US dollar, is that still at the, yeah, it's still second bottom, but obviously that could start to glide up if we react here. Let's just have a look at the US dollar pairs here. Obviously NZD would be one if we were weakened in, but I'd want to be buying this from here. All right, nowhere really. We can double check this by putting a Fibonacci on from top to bottom, and as you can see, anywhere within this area, which would match up with this price action here. All right, there's a strategy on my course called the what is it even called? The golden zone. That's it. And yeah, this is quite a good one because obviously even though that we're expecting NZD to drive down into this area, right? We can also utilize it 'cause this is the area we're looking for a turnaround here to potentially continue to the upside. So I'm going to keep that one highlighted too. Probably very, very, similar to NZD if we sorry, AUD. If we were going to look at this, I'd want to look at something like this area here, I reckon. And then if we double check it, Fibonacci, you can see it pretty much perfectly lines up here. So very, very, similar here. I'd want to see something drive down into here, and then obviously we can then capitalize this to the upside. So I'm going to highlight that one too. Let's just have one more look. Remind myself, we obviously got yen, pound, Aussie, US dollar. Let's have a look at USD JPY here. USD JPY. What have we been doing? Let's just have a little look. So technically, you could argue on a 4 hour, we're still trending to the upside here. 4 hours still trending to the upside. We are due some kind of a pullback though, but obviously we're starting to consolidate a bit. This is called a flag pattern here. All right, for those of you who don't know, it's where obviously price gets squeezed. All right, so we could even take it from here if you wanted to, because price hasn't really come into anything. Um, so price, basically, the idea behind a flag pattern is price gets squeezed in, and then you get a bullet out because obviously you know it's condensing the amount of orders. The amount of orders are obviously multiplying. So yeah, and then it just bullets out. However, yeah, you know, you can see here, even with trend, look at this. So, you know, you can see here with trend, you know, we're obviously not really doing very much, you know, just obviously consolidating between. There'd be two kind of trades here. You know, one, I'd prefer to sell this to the downside at the top of the London opening range potentially, and then you know we can have a nice little breakout here. If obviously yen continues to strengthen, we'd have to have our stops up here. Otherwise, you want to be obviously waiting for price to break out of here and then retest and continue, or price to break out to the upside. However, I do think it might potentially be worth the risk if it does obviously come up to this area. If not, we're going to be looking for here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark these lows here, right? And then I'm going to anticipate or try and gauge probably for this move here. All right. So that would be another one that we'd be interested in. We've obviously got the Euro AUD and GBP AUD pairs. Euro AUD might potentially be a better one if we're looking at this. Where would we look to go from? Probably these wicks here would be a good kind of target. Let's obviously double check it using the Fibonacci. And we can see, you know, we could even drag this a little bit higher if we wanted to. So take it somewhere like here, right? So that would be an expectation potential on Euro AUD. So we're going to leave that one marked up too. So we would have something like this there. There we go. I like that. Pound, like I'd said, for anyone who's trading pound, sometimes, news days, you got to obviously avoid it because, you've got to think within half an hour, we've moved almost 90 pips. You know, if you look at the daily, values of this, let me just go back. I'm gonna take this one out here. All right, this daily value. So today we've already moved 151 pips. That's more than yesterday, more than the day before that. You know, it pretty much equals most days, and obviously it's already moved that uh, much. You know, so that would write that one off for me. Similar with the GBP CAD and GBP NZD. Obviously, Euro NZD is another potential here. Let me just get this on a 30-minute. Where would I want this to go into? Probably you'd have to be looking into this area here. All right, so you'd have to be looking into this area here. And then again, you can double check it. We're going with trend, and that pretty much, lines up. All right. But what we're also then looking for is once price is in our area, obviously we want it to come to us at our times. Yeah. We're obviously not going to take this at 10:30 or 12. We want it to come to us in our trading times. So that would be my obviously, anticipation here. I'd want to probably monitor this till about 9:30, and then that's it. But that to me would be another potential here if we got a little bit of a release and then obviously a continuation to the downside here. You could even push it here, if you really, really wanted to. But yeah, these would be my kind of picks of this morning. But obviously, we are one thing that you need to be monitoring is the dollar to see, exactly what's happening here. Gold for anyone who wants to risk trade in it. Obviously, we've got our Asian high and we've got our Asian low here. I think the Asian low's not going to get tapped. I think we're going to see a bit of a rise on gold to, today. But obviously, so potentially this Asian high here might be quite a good one to to kind of map out here. Um, so let's wait and see over the next kind of half an hour, 15 minutes. Will this hold? We're technically trending to the upside on a 15-minute, probably a 30-minute, hourly. No, so but that doesn't write off wanting to potentially drive into this area if the downtrend is going to continue to obviously then sell it off into the next kind of area because we obviously know what goes down must come up, what comes up must go down. Remember, you've always got more chance, right? If price is trending to the upside here, right, like this, yeah, you have always got more chance buying from here, right, than trying to sell from here. Yeah. So that would that's even if you've identified trend and it's in your favor, that is a very that's a very solid confluence, all right, that you can capitalize on. Let's just have a look at the chat. Richard, USD JPY thought that gap would have filled quicker. Is my understanding that the market wants to rebalance back into equilibrium as soon as possible. I don't think it wants to. I think it is driven but I don't think it really, matters. If you look on a higher time frame, we obviously had huge gaps, the previous week. So Friday to, Monday, we obviously opened up here. It took until Tuesday the week after, all right? And then if you look at this gap here, right? If you look at this one here, we've obviously still not, filled it, all right? So this is a bit of a trading myth. I trialed it every single, Sunday. I was waiting for gaps because I was obviously told very similar that obviously if a gap like this happens, you should instantly look to sell it, right? But imagine what kind of mess you would be here, so it's pretty crazy, isn't it? You would have 100% blown your account here, and you would have blown it pretty quickly. All right, so just be wary that gaps. I think personally, less. Well, once it gets to kind of probably Monday morning, if they've not all ready for their build, then the market's not going to be too bothered. So normally what you would expect is if market opens like this and you get a candle a little bit like this where there's a nice big wick on it, and it looks a bit like this, right? Then you can then cast that, right, you know what, we're heading up now. But yeah, if that doesn't happen on a Sunday evening, but just be aware as well about trading Sunday evening. Spreads are really high, so just be very wary of obviously how high spreads are on a Sunday evening. So I haven't traded Sundays in probably about 5 years because I just think it's a big trap. All right. Everyone's had a weekend off. They're really keen So yeah, just stay clear. But I'm going to mark up what I like. AUD JPY is obviously one, so I'm going to put that in the group now. Just put this in, and then I'll have a look through the chat. Um, so let me have a look through the chat in a minute. Right. Do you know what? There, number of people from the poll that I did, who were who were would be pretty confident that they could make their 2% from one trade. What the only reason I asked that question was because I'm gonna push this one up a bit. Was because, if you could do it with a gun to your head, why could you not do it? Um, why could you not, do it? Um, like, yeah, today, you know? Like this is the crazy, crazy thing is, I get told, yeah, you know what? When I've passed my, funded account, I'm going to be profitable. What's going on here? Um, there we go. Right. We're okay now. We're back to normal. Right. Yeah, or when I'm profitable, I'm gonna trade like this, or when I've got, 100K to trade with, I'm gonna trade like this. But truth is, we should always you should be trading how you want to trade from the beginning. Right. I'm just obviously adding all these into the group right now. We're going to do Euro AUD. I'm going to put that one in for us all to monitor. So I will make sure I pre-warn everyone. Right, here we go. Right. I will put in capitals. It needs to retrace first. So that's your AUD, and then obviously your NZD. There we go. Very, very similar. So just down there. There we go. Right, last one I'm going to put in. There we go. Right, here we go. So let me just take a picture of this. There we go. Right, Euro NZD. There we go. Perfect. Right. That's our kind of four, setups here. We're obviously basing it on one on the risk of currency pairs at the moment. Have they changed much? Yen is dropping slightly, so yen is now back below CAD. So if I was to do this here, so yen is now back below CAD. As you can see here, it's constantly changing. Yeah. And you obviously need to be aware of this. So don't, mark them and then kind of, leave it. Make sure that you're looking into a trade. And President, there's a tweet's just coming. President Trump says higher tariffs on China won't be sustainable. Won't be sustainable for them. Well, that's pretty obvious. So let's have a look at this. Yeah, Euro, USD, and GBP still at the bottom. So I do think that let's wait and see. This is our kind of calling card here. If this doesn't break, then we're going to see everything melt to the downside here. So just be aware of that. Even like a move from here to here is going to be plenty for us. And obviously, like we've mentioned with gold, for all you gold traders out there, I'd monitor this. We've technically broken on the 15, monitor it on the 30. We've got another 3 minutes left. I do think there is an opportunity. It would be a 600 pip trade. Obviously, stops could be around here. I like to have quite healthy stops on gold so you don't trade it as high. But obviously, yeah, this is one here. But obviously, I'm not going to post this in the group because, yeah, gold's a bit all over the place at the moment, and obviously, any tweet that could come out is going to send it one way or the none or the other. It's completely out of everyone's control. So yeah, let's have a look through the chat. Reference copier. I say let it run for another period. Yeah, all right. Well, what I will do, I will let it run until Friday. So yeah, that's we'll wait and see. Only said that because your explanation of how we should trade makes perfect sense. Well, whether we could do it without getting shot is very debatable. No. I just used that as a bit of a, extreme example, but it's true because we obviously, want to, yeah, you want to be trading, picking your best kind of trade. It's a bit like what I'm trying to explain every, London session, every New York is we obviously want to hand pick the best, kind of trades here. Yeah, so I'd do, even AUD, USD and NZD, USD, we want to be dictating what we want to happen. And obviously we want to be in charge. Yeah, so I actually quite like NZD USD. Well, you guys who are obviously watching this have got, that added into your profile too. But everything's, this is obviously bounced off nicely. We've got obviously USD JPY. I reckon anywhere in line with this here, is good. We're going to be pretty happy there. So yeah, we'll wait and see how those react. I don't think your AUD is going to reach here, and your NZD is already starting to react here too. That's what kind of tells me potentially to put one of these in. It's very difficult, but yeah, I think for anyone looking at this, you've obviously got one trade here. Obviously, the highest kind of profitability would be this one here. NZD USD doesn't tend to move much. As you can see, this is like 40 pips here and it's pretty high. So, whereas AUD, USD, if we did react to that level, then obviously we're going to be a bit happier because 40 pips is going to be something like this. Yeah. So let's wait and see. But I quite like USD JPY and I like AUD JPY too, obviously, because it's reacted very, very nicely, and I can see this continuing to the upside here. So yeah, I think if you looked at how yen reacted in regards to strength, I think it's more the US dollar strengthening in USD JPY dragging all the other yen pairs up than yen actually being stronger. So yeah, let's wait and see. But yeah, right, I'm going to end it here. I'll be back at 2 p.m. And yeah, let's have a good day today. Let me do a little reel or Instagram story. So everyone put their thumbs up. Thumbs up. Perfect. Cheers, guys. Perfect. Right, let's smash it. Have a good one, guys.